Have you ever lent someone something, and when they return it, it's not in the condition you lent it to them? Feels a little like the Spider-Verse, and Sony didn't play nicely with Marvel's toys. Well, drink some lion blood for the last kicking of the Spidey-can, as we look to see if Kraven the Hunter is not that bad. Welcome, one and all to It's Not That Bad, the podcast that looks for A grades and B movies. Hello to all of our listeners in Tiverton, Rhode Island, and around the world. How the heck are you guys doing? All right, it is time to kick off 2026 with a bang. And by a bang, I mean a bomb, because we're talking about Kraven the Hunter, the last installment in the Sony live action Spider-Verse. And here to join me to, I don't know, drink some lion blood or whatever, Alex Leal's back on the show. Alex, how you doing, man?
It's great to start off the year with you talking about this movie. And I'm glad you gave me this movie because I really don't have many gripes with this movie. Well, I'm going to rephrase there. I have a couple of gripes, but even so, I enjoyed this movie.
Yeah, I got gripes. I got gripes. But I mean, the other thing too is we're talking about the Sony Spider-Verse, which, you know, we've covered a few of those films on these shows before. I know Morbius has been covered on an entire episode of It's Not That Bad. Madam Web, of course, we discussed during Grading on a Curve, the Razzies edition last year. So we have actually covered the first Venom film. So we've actually done a lot of the Sony Spider-Verse, which means it was time eventually to talk about Kraven the Hunter. But before we reminisce, we wax philosophic on what Sony tried to do, it's time to take this not quite MCU Marvel movie and trailerize it.
If there's one thing Marvel characters have in abundance, it's daddy issues. Thor, definite daddy issues. Iron Man, he built a system to deal with his daddy issues and called it barf. Spidey, no daddy, but lots of issues. Star-Lord, planet-sized daddy issues. But few Marvel movie characters look for a definitive solution for their problems quite like Kraven the Hunter. Sergei Kravnov looks to claim the mantle of greatest hunter through Highlander rules by killing off all the other hunters. But standing in his way is Billy Backpack, the Rhino. This thick-skinned, horny baddie is looking to put an end to Kraven by taking his brother and fighting him in the wide, wild open. Two guesses how that goes. But can Kraven emerge from the Zeus-like shadow of his father? Or will all those teases of a future for the character go up in smoke like a Morbius vapor trail? Aaron Taylor Johnson is Kraven the Hunter. Rated R. For Russian Rhino, still better than whatever the hell Paul Giamatti did 12 years ago.
That one may be your best one. This one may be your best one.
I don't know. It's hard to tell. But the funny thing too is that the minute I think of the Rhino, I cannot get Paul Giamatti out of my head going, "I'm the Rhino." Like, what, dude? Paul Giamatti, you are a much better actor than that. But
TASM 2. Don't you love TASM 2?
TASM, it sounds like a disease. Oh, I'm sorry. You've contracted TASM 2. I'm so terribly sorry. We're going to have to put you in a rhino suit and pray that you live. But let's get into who is in this movie. The movie stars Aaron Taylor Johnson, Ariana DeBose, Fred Hechinger, Alessandro Nivola, Christopher Abbott, and Russell Crowe. There is an almost starring in this, and it's actually pretty fascinating. Apparently, for the role of the chameleon, Cody Smith-McPhee, who played Nightcrawler in X-Men Apocalypse, was actually offered the role, but unfortunately had scheduling conflicts. And I could have seen him in that role.
Me too. That would have been so sick. What? And didn't he just get confirmed to go to Doomsday 2?
No, Alan Cumming is returning
Oh, right.
as
It is Alan
Nightcrawler.
Cumming. Yeah. You're right.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Clearly, they're not touching X-Men Apocalypse with a 10-foot pole. In the role of Calypso, apparently Jodie Turner-Smith and Taylor Page were both in the running. And then, in the role of Kraven, now all of this according to IMDb.com, in the running for the role of Kraven the Hunter, Brad Pitt, Keanu Reeves, John David Washington, and Adam Driver. I'm not going to lie, Aaron Taylor Johnson seems the best actor for that role out of all of that.
If I would have had to pick maybe, like, I do agree. I think Aaron Taylor Johnson is the best person for the role. But if I had to pick one, and just because I think it would be so cool, Keanu Reeves. I think Keanu Reeves would be great.
No, see, the problem, though, is because, of course, you know, the father is Russian. It would just feel like John Wick, but with animals.
Okay, yeah, fair. That's fair.
Which sounds like a really bad, quickly rejected episode of Paw Patrol.
But hey, it is Sony. It is a Sony verse, so like it's already rejected anyway.
Sadly, now people actually want to watch Paw Patrol, where you know the fire dog goes on a murderous rampage in order to be able to stop all the other fire dogs from being called greatest pup ever. Make that happen.
All right.
The movie is directed by J.C. Chandor. This is actually the first film he directed but didn't write. Previously to this, he did Margin Call, All Is Lost, A Most Violent Year, and Triple Frontier. However, it was almost directed by Antoine Fuqua, who was approached to direct the movie, but he chose to do Equalizer 3 instead. This is where it gets interesting, because the film is written by Art Markham and Matt Holloway, the team that gave us Iron Man, Punisher Warzone, Men in Black International, Uncharted, and unfortunately Transformers The Last Night.
Oh, good.
There were also writing credits for Richard Wenk, who did the Equalizer series, Expendables 2, which is actually the best of the Expendables films, and The Mechanic. The film had a budget of $110 million. Domestically, it only made $25 million, with a worldwide budget of $62 million. And I don't even want to figure out the Hollywood math that breaks down how bad that's going to be for them. When it was released on the December 13th, 2024 weekend, it only debuted at number 3 with $11 million. Also debuting in the top 10 that week, The Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rohirrim, debuted at number 5 with $4.5 million. And at number 9, only debuting in 641 theaters, was Interstellar 5555, The Story of the Secret Star System, with $2.3 million. Now, it's not a lot. It's not a lot. But I want to put this into perspective. Kraven the Hunter debuted in 3,211 theaters. In Interstellar 5555's 641 theaters, they averaged slightly more per theater than Kraven the Hunter did. By the way, number 1 that week was Moana 2 in its 3rd week with $26.5 million. And at number 2 was Wicked in its 4th week with $22.6 million. So, no, knockout battle for 1 and 2. Kraven the Hunter just does not have enough. But what it does have are accolades. At the 2025 Golden Schmoes Award, it was nominated for Biggest Disappointment of the Year, but lost to Joker Folie à Deux, and I can't disagree with that one.
Respectable.
It was nominated for Worst Movie of the Year, but lost to Emilia Perez. And at the 2025 Razzies, we didn't get to talk about this film then because, of course, it wasn't nominated for Worst Film of the Year. However, Ariana DeBose was nominated for Worst Supporting Actress for this and Argyle, but lost to Amy Schumer in Unfrosted. It was also nominated for Worst Remake, Ripoff, or Sequel, but lost to Joker Folie à Deux, and was nominated to Worst Screenplay, but lost to Madam Web. Naturally.
Yep.
But the reason why we are here is the critics. Over Rotten Tomatoes, this film has a popcorn meter of 72%.
Jesus.
But a tomatometer of 15. Now, I want to put this into perspective here, okay? This is where it gets interesting. Madam Web is the lowest rated Sony Spider-Verse film on Rotten Tomatoes with a tomatometer of 10%. Morbius has an equal tomatometer to Kraven the Hunter. They both sit at 15%. The popcorn meter, Morbius is 1% less than Kraven the Hunter. It has a 71% popcorn meter.
What? How?
I know. People are drunk. I get it.
Yeah, people are very drunk.
Apparently it's Morbin time. But let's get the bigger picture. Over at Letterboxd, the film has a 2.0 stars out of 5 rating for a 40% score. IMDb, 5.5 out of 10, 55%. Metacritic, film has a meta score of 35, and at the movie database has a score of 65% for an aggregate of 47%. Now, if I said to you that this film was a 47% film, I'm actually going to go out on a limb and say this. I think it's actually a little low. This film feels just slightly, it's not a college pass, but I think it's at least in the 50s.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like, you were already talking about like Madam Web and Morbius. I think this movie is better than the two combined.
That's not hard to do.
It's not. It's really not hard to do with this movie. But I just had more fun and like, yes, okay. The story in this movie is very slow and very drawn out.
Mm-hmm.
But I still had a ton of fun with this movie. There were some crazy, CGI was not that great. The CGI was awful. The CGI was awful.
And yet I've still seen worse.
Yes, I've seen worse too. But yeah, I still had a ton of fun. And honestly, this movie was just like acting wise, prospectively, this movie is 10 times better than whatever the heck Madam Web's acting was.
You know what? I'm still going to give Isabella Marquette at least a little bit of credit. If we were to ever do like a full episode on Madam Web, Isabella Marquette would probably be my MVP. But because we already talked about it on Gradient on Curve, we don't have to go back down that road. Thankfully.
Thank God, no more Dakota Johnson.
Right.
No more Dakota Johnson.
Well, there's always the Materialist this year.
Don't remind me.
Why do growing businesses love working in Slack? Let's ask Christy at Ari Bikes.
Running things in Slack saves me so much time.
AI summaries save 97 minutes per week. What say you, Rox from Gosney?
Slack helps us build community, it helps us build connection.
Your partners, vendors and customers all in one place. Take us on home, Ashley from Caraway.
If we didn't have Slack tomorrow, I would explode.
Well, let's not let that happen. Visit slack.com/podcast to get 50% off Slack Business Plus.
Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just speaking into the void? But with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers, a network of 130 million of them, in fact. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills, and did I say job title? See how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a free $250 credit for the next one. Get started at linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
I am your host, Stassi Schroeder. Welcome to Tell Me Lies, the official podcast. What's the most unhinged thing of season 3?
Steven, because he's so evil.
I do think he is misunderstood.
You see everyone face consequences.
It's intoxicating. The writers just know how to trick you. There's always a twist in this show.
It's nothing you would expect.
Tell Me Lies, the official podcast, January 6th, and stream the new season of Tell Me Lies, January 13th on Hulu and Hulu on Disney+.
All right, let's get into the breakdown of this movie. We start, of course, with Aaron Taylor Johnson as Kraven the Hunter. And yes, that means we're talking about Quicksilver from the MCU slumming it over with Sony. But your thoughts on him?
Where do I start? Okay, so I really enjoyed Aaron Taylor Johnson as Kraven. I'm going to say that the CGI for him, for when he does his jumps and everything, looks strangely off. It just looks so off. I hated it. It looked like that. It looked like the Amazing Spider-Man all over again with all like the crazy CGI and everything. I just didn't like it. But him, like portrayed, also, I don't know if you caught it, but there were a couple of ADR in the movie. I don't know if you caught it from him.
Oh, I noticed it, but it was no worse than freaking Peruvian Man over at Madam Web.
True. That is very true. But yeah, he gave that sort of like calmness in Kraven, but also like he had the confidence to move. Like he knew how he wanted to go with every move that he made. Like he was very calculated, very calm, and like collected. He was just like, he's such a great actor. I will say Aaron Taylor Johnson is a great actor. The only problem I have is just I don't like these Sonyverse movies because they are just ripping off Spider-Man stuff, and they don't know what they're doing with them, to be honest.
I mean, I think the biggest and most egregious foul on this movie is that apparently it was rumored that Ryan Coogler wanted to include Kraven the Hunter in the first Black Panther film, but Sony said no. I mean, that's the thing. Kraven the Hunter in a Black Panther film would have been fantastic. But the problem is, right? This is Sony going, no, we're going to hold on to every single one of these characters because we can. But at some point, you probably have to sit there and maybe tap out and say, maybe we've lost enough money. The thing is, this is the last film of the Sony Spider-Verse, and I think it gets the bum rap at the box office. And I say that because, for my money, Aaron Taylor Johnson is the best quote-unquote hero of a Sony film, and by that I mean just title character. You know, Tom Hardy as Venom, he's not Eddie Brock to me. He's not, right? We can just scratch Dakota Johnson. Jared Leto, I liked him in the first half of Morbius, but then as soon as he goes like full on vampire, it's not good. That's when it just gets to a CGI gaseous mess. But at least Kraven feels a little bit more grounded, even though he's jumping around like Mantis in the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special. It's one of those things where I want more of Aaron Taylor Johnson as Kraven because I think he actually does fit the mold. The people who wrote this and directed this, CGI aside, the actors cannot control that. The writers can't control that. Aaron Taylor Johnson brought us a realistic, decent Kraven to the point of if Kraven shows up in the MCU as they multiverse their way through whatever the hell they're going to do in Doomsday, I would be happy to have Kraven return as Aaron Taylor Johnson. It'd be real weird if he meets the Scarlet Witch, but that's another
That's
thing.
A different story.
Exactly.
That's a different story.
Right. Or if he meets Quicksilver.
He's seeing doubles. He's seeing doubles.
Right. But yeah, no, that's the thing. I think the problem is this film was guaranteed to be a bomb no matter what. It's a shame because I think it's one of the best Sony Spider-Verse films of the 6. And I'm talking about all 3 Venoms and the, of course, Morbius and Madam Web. I'm not including the Across the Spider-Verse animated films. Those are in a world unto their own, in my opinion. I want more of Kraven, despite like the cheesy, he sees spiders in his hallucination. Yeah, well, we also saw spiders come down in Madam Web, but we accepted that, right? I guess. This is a decent Kraven, and I wish it wasn't, because then I wouldn't feel like the MCU was missing out on their Kraven.
Yeah, I completely agree. And when you are already talking about the accolades that the movie has been getting, I'm sorry, but it does not deserve the accolades that it's been getting. Like Joker Folie à Deux winning, understandable, very understandable. I did not like that movie one bit, but like I don't get the hate on this movie. CGI aside, everything, like all of that aside, I think the writing in this movie was really good. And I really liked what Aaron Taylor Johnson brought to this movie. I will say at the beginning, I did not like the whole Russian thing because I think that one was just like drawn out way too long, in my opinion. Like the whole Russia plotline where he was going into jail and everything. I think that was just drawn out a bit.
I didn't hate that because it sets up the lengths that Kraven the Hunter would go to find his prey. I like that about it. I think it sets the character up very well.
Fair. Also, I don't know if you saw this, but his inmate, his name is called Mofo.
Oh, God.
I don't know if that's the funniest thing I've ever seen, but I love that name.
Fred Heckinger as Dmitry Kravinov, and I apologize if I messed up his name. Remember, I'm an idiot in a basement with a microphone. But this is also the Chameleon, and I'm so freaking glad that they paid this off all the way instead of just like, oh, he's a chameleon with his voice, because that would have been cheesy. But the fact that he goes full on chameleon and it looks good.
It does. It really does. It looks incredible. And I will say, I think so. When they had the flashback of the two kids, I thought those kids were great.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they were amazing together. I don't know. I think I've seen the younger Kraven's actor in something. I just can't remember what movie it was exactly.
Mm-hmm.
But those two brought it for that flashback scene. Like, they were great. And then we see an older Dimitri, but he's a lot more like reserved and just more to himself. He doesn't want to carry that legacy that his dad has, and he doesn't want to be like his brother as well. And when they when they revealed about the chameleon, I thought that was a great reveal.
Yeah,
like, and his CGI and everything on how he turned into the chameleon looked sick. And they even teased it. They even teased him saying that he's a chameleon when it was the dad saying he was the chameleon. I was like, okay, that's perfect.
Yeah,
I'm fine with that.
But the thing is, I'm glad they went all the way and actually turned him into the chameleon. Now, of course, like you flash back to like the animated series, and he's got that little device on his belt that helps him change into all these things. I think the fact that he goes to the same doctor that gave the rhino his whatever, I think that works out well. By the way, young Sergei was played by Levi Miller. Previous to this, he was in A Wrinkle in Time.
That's what it was.
He was Pan in Peter Pan. So they did actually get some decent actors to cover the younger versions of them. But I mean, this is the thing. The chameleon is one of those really, really cool characters. He's not an A-list baddie, but he's definitely a B-list baddie, but not in a bad way. You know, you take a look at the A-list for Spider-Man Rogues Gallery, right? You got Doc Ock, you got Vulture, right? I'd put Mysterio up there. Kraven the Hunter, I think, still kind of fits into the B list, but like a definite high B, but along with the chameleon. And normally I sit there and take a look at a film like this and go, can we not squeeze every single character possible that we can from the comic books into this and you know, fan service everyone for days? But I think having him as the chameleon works.
Let me ask you this. If you had to, so say for example, the Sonyverse would still be continuing. Who would you want them to do like a movie on?
Well, you think about it, right? You've got Kraven the Hunter and you've got the chameleon. So you already have a third of a potential Sinister Six. Right? I don't know if you put Calypso into that role. And obviously, by the way, spoilers here, we obviously can't do the Rhino because the Rhino's taken care of, right?
Yep.
Obviously, Morbius would probably be involved. I don't think Madam Web would be. Venom would probably be in there. It'd be an interesting one, but I don't know if the Sinister Six is the way to go. I think Sinister Six is one of those things where, and this is the problem with a lot of superhero franchises, you know, you do the first movie and it's like mano a mano, right? You know, one hero, one bad guy, maybe a little tease or something else, right? The second movie, all right, you have a tougher bad guy with the weight of what happened in the first film on the hero, but it's still kind of mano a mano, right? And then they try to squeeze everybody in and it gets blown out of proportion. Take a look at Spider-Man 3, right? You had a Venom and you had the Sandman and you had the Green Goblin return, and it's too much, right? Because then the plot gets stretched too thin. I think having the chameleon, not necessarily part of the action per se, but like the, you know, obviously the captured brother, you know, the reason for Kraven to go and chase after the Rhino, that's fine. And for the chameleon then to have his full reveal at the end of the film, that's totally fine too, because it then doesn't get too cluttered and it still feels like a mano a mano.
Absolutely. I think because he brings such a great, because I think what I love, especially from the ending, is him telling Kraven straight to his face, oh, you didn't want to be like your dad? Well, you already did it. You became like him. You can say you didn't, but you became exactly like him. I think that's just it's perfect because yes, it is telling more than showing, I will say. But it's him being like, oh, you have to realize that you turned into your dad even though you did not want to.
Mm-hmm. Oh, exactly. Speaking of daddy, Russell Crowe as Nikolai Kravenov. Your thoughts on Russell Crowe in this?
This is just a perfect like Russell Crowe movie that he would do, honestly. Like he would do any sort of these movies. And I really liked him in this movie. Yes, he had some really dark moments in this movie, and he played it really, really well. But I think I just love that he's a very stern father, but he knows when he has to care for his kids and when he has to separate them from boys to men.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was so good at just directing that as like, okay, they need to be hunting. They need to show that they're men. And when the lion first came for Sergei in the past, he knew that he was just a boy just because he was fighting and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But Sergei already knew, okay, because my dad already pushed me into doing something like this that was very like, it's traumatic. It is very traumatic for a young kid like that. But he had his father to push him into something like this.
Yeah. I mean, it's a tough dad role. It's a tough love role. And I mean, here's the thing. I think we have to talk about Thor: Love and Thunder at this point. Because of course, Russell Crowe as Zeus it was just a mockery of it, right? Like I'm sorry, Taika Waititi, but you killed so many potential characters in one film. I would have loved the idea of Hercules joining me, like maybe a Dark Avengers kind of thing. But I think Love and Thunder was such a mess that I think you're best to just walk away from a lot of these characters, right? Like Gore the God Butcher, I think was done very, very well. He was great. Yeah, that whole black and white fight, I was totally down with that. Jane Foster ending up in Valhalla. Sorry if you didn't watch Love and Thunder, but trust me, I'm saving you. I think that was really well done. But here we have a grounded, not overplayed, realistic kind of, I don't want to say mafioso, but definitely like, underworld bad boss kind of thing, but also trying to push his children to become men, right? Make them do things, like be his equal, right? It's a weird dynamic. It's a bad dad dynamic, and obviously it's never going to work, but the fact that he pulls it off in such a way that it's almost realistic and believable. And I can't believe I'm saying this in a Sony Spider-Verse film, but you got, chef's kiss performance out of Russell Crowe in this.
Yes, I completely agree. I have nothing else more to say when like Russell Crowe is but this is just so normal from Russell Crowe. Russell Crowe is such a great actor and he knows how to bring it. So the thing with like Love and Thunder, I was expecting so much goddamn more from that movie, but it just didn't work.
No.
I was just disappointed. I was so disappointed. I think the last couple of minutes, fine, it redeemed itself like a bit. Because I thought Gore the God Butcher, great. He was really, really good in that movie.
Yeah. The only bad thing about Gore the God Butcher is it denied us the chance to have Christian Bale as Balder the Brave, who would have been such a perfect casting for that role. But I'm geeking out and digressing here. But yeah, no, like they made a joke out of Olympus. They made a joke out of Zeus. I don't say that they made a joke out of Hercules, but you effectively nullified any idea or any thought of bringing Hercules back, kind of like how the Eternals kind of made a joke out of the entrance of Star Fox in their post-credit scene.
Hey, don't attack Brett Goldstein. I would have loved to see Brett Goldstein as Hercules. That would have been amazing. Especially after like Ted Lasso and him in Shrinking as well. Oh my God, he would have been so good as Hercules.
All I'm saying is Russell Crowe slayed it in this and stunk it up in Love and Thunder. Alessandro Nivoli as the Rhino. I'm gonna let you start this one off because I got thoughts.
Oh, I have a ton of thoughts too. I'm gonna be so honest. Okay, this is the one person that like gave me so much. I don't even know where to go with this guy, honestly. There are points and there are moments in this movie where he is really good and he knows how to bring it. But then there are points where he is very cringy.
Mhm.
And I almost took me out of the movie because there are like, he'll just go on like random nice moments for no reason whatsoever.
Yeah.
But then when he brings his A game and he brings like that motivation that he wants to fight and this and that, he will bring it.
We have entered Jesse Eisenberg, Lex Luthor territory with this guy.
God.
They made him, it's like they made him eccentric for being eccentric's sake. Like, I don't mind the idea of the backpack having this solution that is constantly feeding his body so he doesn't change into the Rhino. I'm fine with that, right?
Me too.
You know, that despite the fact that, you know, he looks like a total nerd coming in with his backpack, like, first day of school, Mom, I'm here. Ready to go. I got my backpack on, and then I'm going to hold on to the thing and go, like I'm Dustin showing off my pearly whites and Stranger Things. You have basically...
Don't attack Stranger Things. Come on now. Don't attack Stranger Things.
I'm attacking. That's basically what he did. Oh my God. So here's the problem though, right? The Rhino is a formidable character, a formidable villain, right? And near a nigh indestructible villain. So the idea of Kraven going up against the Rhino, it makes perfect sense. But when you negate the non-Rhino version of the character, and by just making him odd and awkward and really, really freaking bad dialogue, you negate the threat that is the Rhino. Plus, let's be honest here. And again, spoilers. The whole idea of Kraven seeing, you know, the little port in the dude's stomach where his thing would go and putting two and two together, Kraven is supposed to be the world's greatest hunter.
Mm-hmm.
The world's greatest hunter would know that the weak spot is the eye. And it's an R-rated film too. You can do that. Like, I'm sorry, like, there was no reason why Kraven would see that little tube or whatever thing coming out of his stomach and know that that's the weak spot, right? That is like the MacGuffin to destroy the bad guy. The hunter would go for the eye in an indestructible, like tough as skin, you know, tough as nails skin kind of opponent. Go for the weak spot. That's what a hunter would do. Otherwise, he's not the greatest hunter. And he was dispatched so easily. Like, I'm sorry. I'm fine if this film ends in a draw and the Rhino escapes somehow.
Yeah.
You know, because clearly the end of this film, you're setting it up for like Kraven will return in Avengers Doomsday. He won't, but still.
No.
He won't. But you could have had a continuation instead of killing the bad guy and never being able to use that character again. I understand multiverse happens. Venom proved it. But still, it's not going to happen. I'm sorry. And the dialogue and the random weird gestures and noises that this guy makes eliminates the threat that he is.
Yep. But you have to say this. At least the Rhino was delved in way more than in TASM 2.
Oh, God. I'm the Rhino. That'll never not be funny.
Like, what, 2 scenes? He comes in that movie for like 2 scenes and that's it?
But again, there you go. You have another film that tried to squeeze in too many villains.
Yep. Way too many villains. And I still don't like, I love Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man, I will say, but that movie is a mess. That movie's a damn mess.
It is. Ariana DeBose as Calypso. A little bit of a deeper cut character, but actually makes sense in a Kraven film. But your thoughts on her?
So, when you said that she was nominated as one of the worst actresses for this movie,
Yep.
I genuinely rolled my eyes because I really liked her in this movie. I thought she was good in this movie, and I actually enjoyed her. I would say, though, I would have wanted more screen time for her because there wasn't much that she did or gave. And plus, I really like Ariana DeBose because she was also in West Side Story, made from Steven Spielberg, and she was really, really good in that movie. And I think she brings a sort of vulnerability to Calypso, and she just tries to help Kraven. It doesn't feel like it's a forced relationship or, oh, they're going to get together. No, it doesn't feel like that. It just feels like a natural friendship.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Let's take a look at that worst supporting actress cast category from last year's Razzies. Amy Schumer, of course, winning for Unfrosted. Ariana DeBose for Kraven the Hunter, and Argyle. Argyle, I loved Argyle, though. I thought it was so much fun. So I think that she shouldn't be there. Leslie Ann Down as Margaret Thatcher in the movie Reagan. And of course, we watched that last year, but I don't think she was that bad in it. Emma Roberts in Madam Web as Mary Parker. Again, I don't think she was that bad.
She wasn't bad.
No, she wasn't. You could have taken any of the other Spider trio and put them in there, and it would have made more sense. And then you had FKA Twigs as Shelley Webster in The Crow. And I think that's more, a lot of these nominations feel more because of the film than because of the performance, right? Nothing wrong with Emma Roberts, everything wrong with Madam Web, right?
Yes.
The Crow remake is a bad idea to begin with. I'm fine if you make another Crow film, but don't make it Eric Draven and Shelley Webster, and don't do that to those characters. I'm sorry, but that's not the case, right? You're pissing all over everything that Brandon Lee did. Ariana DeBose in 2 films that were box office bombs, but they weren't bad, right?
No.
I mean, I'm sure Amy Schumer definitely deserved that role or that award, quote unquote, in Unfrosted. But again, I haven't seen that film, so I'm not quite sure, right?
I haven't either.
A lot of these nominations feel forced. Like you had to vote for someone, and this is what they got. So it'll be interesting to see who gets nominations this year, but I don't think she did a bad job. But that being said, I think she had a bad script to work with.
Yes.
The other thing too is that I'm fine with, young Calypso finding Sergei and helping him with this weird shaman thing that her grandmother had or whatever. But then we meet her again, and she's this high-powered, I don't know what the hell she is. Is she a lawyer? Is she just a business? Like, is she connected? I don't know, because they don't tell us. And then also,
I think it's a lawyer. I think she said she was a lawyer.
Okay, but then she's also a badass with a bow. Like, she could take on Hawkeye, right? Like, I recognize that Calypso is a deeper character that is directly related to Kraven the Hunter, but a little bit of, more realism in the backstory. At least explain how they got there. But also, some of this dialogue is so bad. And, and some of the delivery, and again, I'm sorry, Ariana DeBose, but I'm going to call this like I see it, right? Some of the delivery, it's almost like her brain was saying, I can't believe I'm saying these words.
I think I know which scene you're talking about.
Yeah, it's like
I think I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, it's there aren't good lines for Calypso in this. Ariana DeBose does a decent enough job. I didn't hate her in this, but I just don't feel like the character was there to do much except for get Kraven out of that one little jam, and that's about it.
When she literally says, okay, fair warning, I'm gonna be spoiling here, and I'm also gonna be swearing here. 3 mother. I'm like, why? Like, why?
It's like, did Samuel L. Jackson get a hold of the script and put a few MF bombs in there, because it felt like it.
It did. It most definitely did. But I think they just needed more time with her, and they needed to give her more to do so that we could understand her. We barely got anything from her. We got more from the next person that we're going to be talking about after this.
Oh, absolutely. That person, of course, being Christopher Abbott, who plays the Foreigner. So I'll admit, as I'm watching this, I'm like, who the hell is this guy? Who's the Foreigner? Right? I have no idea who this guy is. You know, and I'm watching the film like, is he a mutant? Because I don't think they can do mutants in the Sony Spider-Verse films. I think mutants is full-on property of Disney since they bought Fox. But then afterwards, as I'm putting my research together and I pull up the Wikipedia of the character of the Foreigner, we're talking like scraping bottom of the barrel kind of recognition. But apparently he has the ability to place an opponent in a 10-second hypnotic-like trance. I'm pulling that straight from Wikipedia. So it actually feels fairly accurate. Like, he doesn't have necessarily superpowers or anything or super strength, but he has that ability to almost like kind of hypnotize them. So it's not like he has super speed. He's just got them in this weird little trance. This actually feels like someone who did a little bit of deep diving research and said, no one's going to pull out this character, but I can see how this will work in our script. Let's do that. That's almost like James Gunn level character diving.
It is, yeah. And I really enjoyed how they brought in the Foreigner. When I first saw him, I was so confused. I was like, what is going on? But delving in more to him and seeing everything that he did, it's so sick. Like, it's such a sick power. But like, he shows it with that sort of charisma, and it's like just like aura. He just has that aura to him. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but he brought it for this movie, and he brought it for the Foreigner.
Yeah, and it's not like he comes in with like this weird Terminator vibe, right? It's very much a John Wick level of calm and precision in everything that he does, right? I was a little thrown off by initial like 1, 2, and then when you realize, when you do that little deep dive, you go, oh, it kind of makes sense now. I can get behind this, right? Every now and then, like, I was actually reading about James Gunn at one point that he wanted to bring in the character of Rom, the Space Knight, into the Guardians of the Galaxy as like a weird little kind of hat tip, Easter egg kind of thing, but they just couldn't do it because the rights at the time for Rom the Space Knight were kind of tied up with IDW, but now Marvel has those rights back. But it would be such a deep dive character that only goofy idiots like me would sit there and geek out over it. Why? Because I actually like Rom the Space Knight. I think it'd be fantastic. But it's one of those things where you got to deep dive for the Foreigner. I don't think it takes away from the story. I think it adds just enough, right? And, they basically killed him in kind of the same way that Hawkeye kills the Hulk in one of the Civil War comic books.
It was so just, I don't understand why why Calypso just came in randomly and she said what I said before. I'm not gonna rephrase myself on there, but I just loved what he did. He was just such a cool and like collected like villain. Villain. He was just so cool, and just to see him doing all of his like moves, him going through like the hallway, just passing through the guys was so sick, and him almost making a guy shoot himself.
Yeah.
Holy.
I mean, that's almost like, Purple Man level from Jessica Jones, but still. Still. One of the biggest things, of course, about this is the R rating. And it felt like they actually made a point of going for the full R with the violence, with the CGI blood and whatnot, and of course with a few MF bombs thrown in. But do you feel like they were kind of almost, I think with the blood and the violence, it had to be there because of the very nature of Kraven the Hunter. But do you feel like they were just kind of toying with the R rating with all the the rando MF bombs thrown in?
Yeah, I absolutely think so. I think there could have been just a little bit more like gore, especially because it is Kraven. Kraven is the sort of person that he would go for gore no matter what. So I think they just wasted it on so many F-bombs and like, but that's the thing. That's what's happening with movies lately. People will say, "Oh, it's an R-rated movie." Oh yeah, it's not about violence. It's all about just swearing most of the time.
Yeah.
Like, it's not cool.
No,
it's just not cool.
You know,
Like, look at Deadpool and Wolverine, for example. Deadpool and Wolverine is an R-rated movie, and yes, it does have a ton of swears and F-bombs. Let's be real. But the action and the violence match up to it.
I think it's one of those things though where you actually make a point with a character like Deadpool because Deadpool is that guy, right? That you expect swearing at a Deadpool, right?
Yes.
And I think we got like one F-bomb in like Guardians of the Galaxy 3, right?
Yeah.
It's just one of those things where you take a look at it and go, okay, so maybe it in some cases, but this felt like it's like, okay, well, we need to add this into it. But coming out of Calypso, it felt odd. I would have expected it out of Russell Crowe's character. I would have expected it even out of Kraven the Hunter, because of course he is slowly becoming as ruthless as his father. So you can kind of tie those two together. I don't think it needs to come into Calypso. It just feels kind of, if this is supposed to be a high powered lawyer, maybe that's not the language we need at that moment. It feels like a bad Schwarzenegger-esque line.
It feels like something like they just wanted her to be like a girl boss and just like say these swear words, even though it should not have been her like at all. Even the Foreigner, he says like that I know and that I recollect, he says no F-bombs, but he knows like when to assert that are rated. Like he can show it just naturally, if that makes sense.
I want to add this in here because it kind of makes sense. So prior to Deadpool and Wolverine, we had the first ever F-bomb in the MCU in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
Yep.
Deadpool and Wolverine. Raise that count from 1 to a total of 119 because they dropped it 118 times. Yeah.
Don't you love it? Don't you love it when Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman just go ham? Just go absolutely ham.
Oh, they look like they're having way too much fun. One thing, though, that Kraven the Hunter kind of proved is that the idea of taking a character out of a rogues gallery and making an entire film of them, I feel like that trend is now kind of dead. Yes, the Loki series worked. I think it worked because Tom Hiddleston is just ridiculously, like, so charming in the role. And he made Loki this weird, sympathetic character that everyone's like, yeah, Loki's not really all that bad. He's just misunderstood. That kind of works, right? Yep. But you take a look at everything that Sony did, right? Venom, three kicks at the can, and they all kind of qualified. And then, of course, you've got Morbius. Madam Web is not a villain character. Kraven the Hunter. And then, of course, over on the DC side, you've got the two Joker films. One good, one not. I just feel like the idea of trying to create the anti-hero film. Like the anti-hero is a character like Wolverine. Someone who does heroic things, is the best at what he does, and what he does is not very good.
Yeah.
Right?
Logan, great movie.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Great movie.
But he's still a hero at the end of the day, even though he's an anti-hero. Right?
Yeah.
I feel it's one of those things where they leaned into the idea of all of these characters that Sony had at their disposal, and they didn't want to give them back to the MCU. They wanted to keep on using them. It's the same reason why we got the Roger Corman Fantastic Four film. You know, it was just rights.
Don't remind us of that.
Oh, no. It's out there. And one day we're going to cover it on the show. But still, regardless of, it's just don't.
Yeah.
Right? Andor is kind of an anti-hero, right? He's working for the good guys, but he does bad things, right? Wolverine, perfect example. anti-hero. Kraven's not an anti-hero. He's a villain.
Would you also say that to Deadpool? I think Deadpool would be also an anti-hero.
And Deadpool's definitely an anti-hero, but just I think the idea of trying to build out from the rogues gallery just should stop.
It should. Like, I know, like, towards the beginning of this decade, people would like do it with, like, say for example, Maleficent with Disney. They wanted to do Maleficent, and I thought that was great. I also thought people have doubts on this movie, but I liked Cruella. I really liked Cruella as a movie and how they depicted her in the past. Like, that was great.
How much of that though is because of Emma Stone?
Massively,
right.
Massively about her.
I think we can throw in Peacemaker as well as as the exception to the rule. Peacemaker and Loki are kind of that exception, but you have to develop the character first. It's not like they introduced Peacemaker through the series. They introduced him through the Suicide Squad, and it worked out well. The idea even of the Suicide Squad, it's an interesting concept. You had the saving graces of like Margot Robbie in there, and not much else. But still, regardless of, it's okay.
Like, the idea of, you brought up the Suicide Squad, the idea of Guardians of the Galaxy.
But still heroes.
Exactly.
But more anti-heroes as well on that side.
Yes, they are most definitely anti-heroes. But it's a way that, like, James Gunn knows how to write those characters and knows how to show their vulnerable side, but also show that they are heroes.
Yeah. I'll give credit where credit is due. The writing team on this film didn't put out a bad film.
No.
Except for some of the dialogue. But I mean, we can kind of avoid that. I mean, hell, I still like, Star Wars Episode 2 Attack of the Clones, but apparently sand gets everywhere, and that's love dialogue.
Let's not talk also about the CGI in this movie, but that's a different story.
Well, I mean, the problem too with CGI these days, and it's part of the movie going public as well, right? It's there's a rush to get these films out, and they don't take the time with the CGI, right? The other thing too, and as much as we mentioned the box office in these movies, I think you need to really start to think about throwing the box office out the window, because the size of TVs at home and the ability to enjoy your film at home is just so much easier than going to a theater and peopling and spending X amount of money seeing something on the big screen. I love going to the big screen. I've talked about this before, but I got no problems watching these movies at home either.
So you're talking about at home and everything like that. So I think the best thing that we can talk about, and I think it's a good place to put this right now, is the Netflix and Warner Brothers deal and everything that's going on with that. Do you think that's a good move for Warner Brothers?
I mean, not that it really affects Kraven the Hunter because that's Sony, right?
Yeah.
I just feel like they're reading the tea leaves, and I don't think it's a bad thing for either. But the problem is that people are going to be looking at saving money, right? It's the same theory as when Disney bought Fox, and then you merge Disney Plus and Hulu into one. Like even Warner Brothers beforehand, when they merged HBO Max and the Discovery app into one and kind of put everything together. Obviously, up here in Canada, there's a lot of differences because, of course, we have Crave up here, and all the Canadian rights are held by different companies. So it looks different up here than it does down in the States. But the thing is it's content, right? Content is king, right? And if Netflix buys Warner Brothers, I still think we're going to get the same amount of films. It's just they're going to have more and different characters to play with.
Yeah.
I think they're going to recognize a good thing, though, right? I mean, James Gunn did really, really well with Superman. And, so if Supergirl does the same thing, they're going to keep giving James Gunn money, kind of the same way they keep giving Zack Snyder money. But I don't know why, because Rebel Moon was not that great.
Well, if we're talking Netflix gave Stranger Things $400 million for this new season, for season 5.
Yeah.
To let them be creative and let them do their final vision.
But that's the thing. Stranger Things is a winner for them, but they also gave a ton of money to Adam Sandler.
Oh God. Can we talk about Happy Gilmore 2 soon? Please.
Oh, you're gonna make me watch that damn thing?
Please, that movie was awful. But like,
I mean, that's the thing. I'm curious to see if that's actually going to get nominated this year. But it's just one of those things where, they're going to put money to creators. They're going to put money to directors and writers, and they're going to put it out there. By the way, we can't talk about Happy Gilmore 2. It's got a 62% Rotten Tomatoes score.
Are you serious?
The tomato is red. Watch something else instead.
Oh my! How does that movie is a Super Bowl commercial?
Nostalgia.
It's
all about nostalgia in that case.
Jesus.
Right? The thing is, Sony, I feel, saved the best for last, and it's unfortunate because this is the last remnant of the Sony Spider-Verse, but it shows what it could have been. Kraven the Hunter is not that bad a film for sure, and may be the best live-action Sony Spider-Verse film of the 6.
Yep, I completely agree, and I'm glad that Sony is done with making these movies, but this is a PSA. Sony, please, for the love of God, give Marvel the rights, please. We need a good Spider-Man movie. Please, just give them the rights. Let Marvel cook with Spider-Man. Please.
Maybe one day. But today is the day that we name our MVP. So, Alex, who's your MVP of Kraven the Hunter?
I think it's easy. For me, Aaron Taylor Johnson. It's Kraven.
I mean, it's hard to argue that one, but I'm going to argue it.
You're going to say Russell Crowe, aren't you?
I'm definitely going to say Russell Crowe.
I knew it. I knew you were going to say him.
But the thing with Russell Crowe, he gave his best Marvel performance ever.
Yeah.
Out of 2. But still, regardless, the thing is, sometimes you need to have a well-done, well-performed character that is not just a bad guy unto himself, but is also the motivating factor, not just of Kraven, but of the chameleon as well, right? That entire family dynamic works because Russell Crowe brings A-level performance to a B-level film in a D-level franchise.
Yeah, that's true. I can't really argue with that, especially with how bad the Sony verse is, but he gives his A game for that movie. But I'm sorry, just with how perfect Aaron Taylor Johnson is as Kraven, his maturity and just how he progresses as a character throughout the movie is so good. Yes, there's ADR in some of his dialogue, but that's
production. That's not Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Exactly, it's production.
Yeah.
But he is so good, especially with his relationship with the chameleon, with his brother, with Dimitri. It's just such a breath of fresh air in this movie. I just really enjoyed him.
I just want, in a perfect world, in a perfect Aaron Taylor Johnson universe, I want to take 2 characters from his filmography and put them together. Because, of course, he's Kraven the Hunter here. But in 2014, he was in a Godzilla film. I want Kraven the Hunter hunting down freaking kaiju in a film. Make that ish happen. And if you don't think it would, remember, dear listeners, Marvel just finished up a 6-edition run of Godzilla Destroys the Marvel Universe. And in February, they're going to start their run of Infinity War. Yeah, that's right. Godzilla and the Infinity Stones. You're welcome. Alex, let us know about the Footy Frenzy podcast and what you've been up to lately.
So it's been tough lately just trying to get some episodes down for the Footy Frenzy, especially with some scheduling conflicts and also with school. But I'm hoping, especially for 2026, I'm going to be getting some more episodes done, and especially with some good friends of mine and getting some great staff. I also have a quick announcement. I am making another podcast on movies. Thank you, Jason, for the idea. But it is called the Watch List Podcast, and I'm hopefully going to be putting out some episodes on that as well. And I'm probably going to do it by myself. do some episodes, talk about movies, talk about shows that I like, anything like that.
Well, let us know when you do get it out there, and we'll pop it on our website and let everyone else know. Dude, thank you so much for this. We actually get to watch a decent movie this time, so it's all good.
Thank God. Thank God.
And to you, our dear listeners, well, you guys know the drill. If there's a movie out there that you think is unfairly maligned or is so bad that there is no way in a Russian wilderness that we can find anything good to say about it, hit us up on social media at Not That Badcast, or go to our website at notthatbadcast.com, and remember to subscribe to the webpage, because that is the definitive source of when we drop all new episodes. Until next time, he's Alex, I'm Jay, you guys are awesome. This is It's Not That Bad, a proud member of the Pantheon Podcast Network. Take care.